In the previous episode, we met with Chad Davis about the development and history of gardens by the bay, including the creation of the super trees and the cooled conservatory domes. In this episode, we'll check out what's growing on the first level of the cloud forest dome.
Welcome to the cloud forest. Oh, we have perfect timing. The mist just came on.
Oh my God! And the sun is just right overhead. I mean, the first thing you get is just this waft of cold air from the waterfalls.
Yep, so the waterfall has a real wow factor, but it also is part of the environmental conditions in here. It helps to keep the humidity up. We try to keep the humidity over 70%, and it drives the airflow and the air circulation around here.
But the beautiful part about it is the humidity is high, but the airflow is very cooling. Like, I have goosebumps right now, and it's not just because this is epic.
Yeah, so the temperature settings are actually the same as the flower dome next door, but it always feels much cooler in here because of that humidity and the airflow.
Wow, it's stunning. So when I'm seeing a lot of like shaggy plants kind of hanging down here, what are the plants that are kind of growing a little bit more under the waterfalls?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest challenges, was finding things to grow underneath the waterfall. And what we found is this grass here. It came in incidentally, and we started growing it because it was what did best. So we've moved it around, and we found some aquatic philodendrons here that have done quite well.
So when you said that the grass came in incidentally, it came in with another plant?
Yeah, it came in unexpected, and then we've grown it and moved it around because it was doing better there than anything else that we had tried.
Wow, well, it's pretty phenomenal because you can see there's lots of it. So that was a really happy accident.
Yeah. And then just behind us here are one of my...
metanillas.
Yep, my metanillas. They have done really well in here.
Yeah.
No matter where we put them, up high, down low, on the morning sun side, on afternoon sun side, they're done just brilliantly, and they've been flowering almost constantly for 7 years now, some of the shrubs.
So, I mean, and it's also nice to see because they're in all different points of flower at this stage.
Yep, it's a continual process.
Yeah.
And I think we have about 15 or 16 different cultivars now, and they're all great.
And the tree ferns as well kind of give this a little bit of a dynamic appearance. You know, I always look at them and I think of like a prehistoric appearance.
Yeah, so we've got some of the Tasmanian tree ferns, Dixonia antarctica. Yeah, so the tree ferns make a great habitat for growing other plants on as well. Yeah. You can see the orchids on here, the moss growing on them. They're a great substrate.
Is this an anthurium right there? Do you know this one?
I do. It's not an anthurium. It's a cobra lily. It's not an arum, but it's something like that. I can find out the name for you. We found that in the Himalayas and brought back a bunch of these oddball things. These guys are fragmipediums. Earlier this year, we had an orchid exhibition in the flower dome, and these guys are still continuing on flowering. We've moved them over from there to here now. Here's another one here, but no flower here either. We'll keep an eye out as we move around. Maybe we'll find some, and maybe my memory will be jogged.
I love these plants right over here. These geogenanthus. I could only grow them in terrariums.
Yeah, they like it moist, huh?
Yeah, they really do. So where should we go next?
Let's go check out my rhododendrons.
Great. Are these more epiphytic rhododendrons?
We've got both types in here. We've got lots of Vireyas, but right here are Rhododendron ponticum. We found these in Galicia, in northeastern Spain. Yep.
Wow. Are they endemic to Galicia, or are they kind of found in other places?
They make it into Spain, and this ponticum is the one that can be invasive in certain parts of Europe, but I believe it's native and natural in that area. These guys were actually growing along a stream, and we planted them here to make like an arbor. Yeah. But because the light is better on the outside, they've actually curved their way back. They're bending out to get better light.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame them, you know?
Nope. Yep. It's part of the fun is watching how they grow and how they react.
Yeah. indeed.
So now that we are learning more and more about what's going on here, we've been learning what's worked and what hasn't worked and trying to give the zones a little bit of a different feel. So here we're going with lots of the Rex begonias on both sides. They've got an amazing assortment of foliage.
Assortment. Yeah, some Rexes and some canes. This one is a challenging one to grow indoors.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, you need like a perfect condition for that one. So I'm very impressed at how giant it is.
Yeah, this one we actually have to cut back a little bit so it doesn't get heavy and fall out.
Really rubbing it in right now.
So it's been really interesting watching how things develop here.
Yeah.
When this was first built, it's basically a concrete wall and it's got a high pH, and it took a while until this mossy surface has developed underneath. And once we started to get more of the moss growing, the conditions really became more suitable for the plants, and the plants just took off.
And is this just sphagnum that you were growing here, or is it a different kind of moss?
Yep, I believe it's mostly sphagnum, but it's sometimes we move it around a little bit and try to encourage it to go to different areas.
Yeah.
But that slows the water percolating down the mountain. It catches some of the organic matter, releases the moisture, keeps the humidity stable. And when you have happy moss, you have happy plants.
Yeah, indeed. And I see you have a lot of maidenhair here that's growing extremely well. I've actually moved a lot of my maidenhair up from where I was growing it into my vertical garden in my home, and it is doing surprisingly well. So it's nice to see that you have so much of it in here as well.
Yep, it doesn't stand out as much as the begonias, but if you were to count individual plants, there are probably more of the maidenhairs all over the mountain than any other individual species.
The reason why some of these begonias stand out is because of the maidenhair and all the other green that's happening here.
Yep. And the texture difference, the fine texture of these guys, the delicate leaves.
Is this an Anthurium veitchii?
I believe it is, yes. Yeah. We've got quite a good collection of anthuriums around, and they are really starting to take off. We have a fertigation system here where we put the fertilizer through the irrigation pipes, and it took a while to find the right balance. But once we learned a little bit how to hit the bottom threshold without hurting anything else, the anthuriums have really taken off. When we go up to the top, you'll see some leaves that are just so big and impressive.
I can't wait.
This Cupressus here is another one of my favorites. This is Cupressus cashmeriana. It doesn't actually come from Kashmir, it's a misnomer, but it's got these beautiful, long, delicate, lacy, drooping foliage.
Where does it come from, if not from Kashmir?
It comes from the Himalayas.
Himalayas.
Yep, these guys are some of the better looking examples that I've seen. These delicate leaves, they look great in conservatories, but outside they get tattered in the wind and get a little beat up. So it's a beautiful conservatory plant.
Beautiful. Really indeed.
Fuchsias.
Yeah.
They bloomed great when we first put them in, and then they were all vegetative for about 3 years. And then we've changed the fertilizer regime and the irrigation, and now we're getting them to bloom rather nicely.
And are these a type of pine? Or do you know?
Not a pine, this is Araucaria.
Okay.
This is related to the Wallamai pine.
Wallamai pines, because they look like a Wallamai.
Yep, it's I believe it's the same family from Australia. This is another Araucaria from Neo Caledonia here with these little thin branches looking a little more Christmas tree-like.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. This is Taxodium distichum from the southeast of the US. We actually found this at a nursery in Cape Town, South Africa. So an American plant growing in South Africa makes its way to Singapore.
Oh my God.
Another interesting Araucaria here. We've got some weird shapes going on.
Yeah. Do you have to, do you specifically prune any of these in a certain kind of way, or?
We are still watching them develop.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about this guy. I think this was a function where it's reverting back to a juvenile growth with these long spikes to try to get up through the canopy.
You get really far up there. Yeah.
Yep, trying to get out in better light. You can see where we're standing at now. The morning sun is blocked by these trees on this side.
Yeah.
So I think it's trying to get up above there before it puts out another spurt.
He's discovered the fountain of youth somehow. Is this a Norfolk pine? Is that what that is? Or?
This is an unknown one.
Really?
This one is very similar, but our best plant guy is Anton, and he tells me this guy is unnamed, that we're not sure what he is or where it actually comes from. He found it in a nursery and said, well, that's different, I'm gonna take that. So we're growing it. We'll see, watch it grow and see what it does and see if we can figure out what it is.
Well, you accept all species. I mean, especially even the unidentified ones. I feel like we have more and more every year, more unidentified than we have identified.
Yeah, they don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
They don't care what name we give them.
Exactly, and taxonomists, there's not a lot to come by, to be naming them all the time, so.
So here you can see some of the tree ferns. From the top, we're walking over the bridge over the secret garden below us. This is a cool Pleurophthalus tigii. I don't see any flowers today.
Not flowering, yeah.
No, so they're really cool because they flower right here at the base of the leaf.
Yeah.
And this guy is grown beautifully. You can see sometimes with the light hits them just right. They're kind of like a stained glass window. This one's been torn up a little bit, but these new ones, very cool.
Wow. So cool.
Here's some of the Vireya rhododendrons.
Oh, there they are, yeah.
Yep.
And now these are the more epiphytic ones.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yep. These are more epiphytic. We've got them growing in a bark mix.
Okay.
And this is just so we can get them closer to the people. They actually do really great on the mountain itself. They're happier up there, but people can't get as close to them. Continue along. So Vireya rosea here. This flower lasts just one day. It's another of the bamboo orchids.
It's just one day.
Yep, each flower one day, but each stem will make one flower.
Do you have to come through or maybe not you, but the maintenance crew come and deadhead any flowers or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so
that's a big task.
Yes, we have a group of volunteers who come in every week who help us take care of the deadheading and some of the fine details.
Got it.
A great group of ladies. This guy, I've just made my first trip to New Zealand recently. This is the New Zealand silver fern.
Yeah.
And underneath, in the nighttime, this looks almost white.
Wow.
These guys are really cool. And apparently they use these guys to mark the path in the trails at night.
So they could actually see it at night against the light.
Yep, the moonlight, these guys glow. Yep, and this giant cycad.
Wow, it's massive.
It's called the Voi cycad. It's a cycad, Cycas kisambo, I think is how it's pronounced. It comes from East Africa.
How did you get some of these in? Because I'm imagining some of these didn't start off very small. You got some in that were already a veritable size, so.
Yes, Singapore, like we were talking about, the garden city, and their willingness to invest. They wanted this garden to look complete from the day that it opened. So we brought in large plants from all over the world. Fortunately, Singapore is a little bit easier to import than to the US or Australia or New Zealand.
Well, more fun for you then.
It's hard to mess up a design with such great plant material.
Yeah.
No matter how you put them out, they're wonderful. You can see some of the Vireyas here starting to come through.
And they're all in flower.
They're actually not. We actually had the grower come by and he said, what happened to all the white ones that I sent you?
Really? Oh, okay, so all the white ones are not flowering.
They're just not flowering today.
Yeah.
But every week when you come, it'll be a different set. So it's always something to see.
But was that was unplanned or was it planned?
It's something that we've learned.
Okay.
Yep, and we're expanding as well. So this was a really interesting project. The mountain was planted from March 1st until June 26th. We had scaffolding up to the top, and we had 6 different teams working on different levels, and nobody could ever step back and see more than 6 feet away from the wall. So we had a big reveal when it came down.
Wow.
And the different teams were all, whatever plants were coming, they would grab them and stick them up. So we ended up with a lot of things, same plants in different conditions and different sides. So it gave us the chance to learn and see where they did the best. So now we're going through and relocating some and expanding some of the collections to keep making it nicer. We've got a nice clump of Streptocarpus there, the purpley blue.
The Gesneriad people will be happy about that.
Yes.
We have some more fuchsias here.
More fuchsias.
Yes. Now, are you just doing species or are you also doing cultivars?
Cultivars as well.
Okay.
Whatever performs.
Are these lycophytes?
Yep, they are. They used to be called
Lycopodium.
yep, Lycopodium, that's the one.
Are they Cupressus?
Yep, now they're Cupressus,
Okay.
the current name.
Now, where are your peperomia? Peperomia.
The secret garden has quite a few peperomias,
Okay,
and there are a few up in the top as well. We go up to the Lost World.
If you enjoyed the first part of the tour of the Cloud Forest Dome at Gardens by the Bay, then hit the thumbs up and tune in for the next 3 episodes, because we'll be touring the Lost World, the Cloud Walk, and the Secret Garden. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, and follow along every day on my blog at homesteadbrooklyn.com and Instagram at homesteadbrooklyn. And if you want to gain new insights and skills on houseplant cultivation, care, and maintenance, then enroll in the Houseplant Masterclass online at houseplantmasterclass.com.